They thought no aid would come. Then humanity's warship emerged from the void. Part 1. Judgment Day. Massive crystalline dome of the Galactic Council's Grand Chamber glittered with the light of 3 artificial suns. Inside, representatives from 200 species filled the tiered seating around a central platform, where 3 humans stood dwarfed by the towering forms of the 7 council elders. Ambassador Alara. Reed kept her chin high despite the whispers rippling through the alien audience. Beside her, Captain Thomas Blackwood stood rigid in his naval uniform, while Dr. Vihan Mehta nervously adjusted his glasses. They represented Eartha, humanity's last hope. The petition from the Arcturus Coalition has been heard, announced Elder Zorath, her translucent tentacles waving solemnly. Evidence has been presented that humans have violated Directive 7 by developing unauthorized defensive capabilities. Murmurs spread through the chamber as holographic displays showed Earth's orbital defense systems. Such development, continued Elder Zorvan, his scaled face impassive, constitutes a Level 3 violation. The proposed sanction, immediate technology restrictions, and the dismantling of Earth's space fleet. Ambassador Reed stepped forward. Honored elders, we developed these systems only after repeated Vex incursions in our outer colonies. The Coalition refuses to acknowledge these attacks because they occur in disputed territories. Disputed? A Coalition representative rose, mandibles clicking angrily. Those systems were claimed by our empire millennia before your species left its atmosphere. Yet inhabited by human colonists for 3 generations, Captain Blackwood countered. Colonists who now face extinction. The 3rd Elder, Neva, raised a luminescent hand. This council has reviewed your evidence of these alleged attacks and found it insufficient, because it was tampered with. Dr. Mehta blurted out, earning a sharp glance from Reed. Our transmission buoys were compromised. We have proof. Baseless accusations, the Coalition ambassador hissed. Elder Zorath's voice cut through the rising tension. The Council has deliberated. In accordance with the Galactic Charter, Earth must surrender its defensive capabilities within 30 rotations and withdraw all claims to the disputed territories. And if we refuse? Captain Blackwood asked quietly. The chamber fell silent as Elder Zorvan leaned forward. Then, by unanimous decree of this council, Earth will face economic isolation. No aid, no trade, no diplomatic recognition. Reed's voice remained steady despite her racing heart. The Vex will destroy our colonies without protection. Millions will die. That, Elder Neva said coldly, is no longer the concern of this council. As protests erupted, a junior aide rushed to Elder Zorath, whispering urgently. The Elder's bioluminescent patterns flashed in alarm. This session is suspended, Zorath announced abruptly. On the massive view screen dominating the chamber's far wall, a real-time feed appeared. It showed the Arcturus system as home to the Coalition's primary shipyards. A massive vessel, unlike any design recognized by the Council, emerged from what appeared to be a self-generated spatial rift. Its hull bore the unmistakable insignia of Earth's United Defense Force. Impossible, gasped a Coalition general. No known species possesses void jump technology. Captain Blackwood's communicator chimed. He checked it and allowed himself a small smile. Honored elders, he said, voice carrying through the suddenly silent chamber. May I introduce the UDF Prometheus, humanity's first void-class warship. The council erupted in chaos as Ambassador Reed stepped forward, her expression resolute. Perhaps now, you'll be willing to review our evidence again. The diplomatic team from Earth was escorted to a waiting chamber outside the council hall. Guards from various species lined the corridors, their postures tense. That was a risk, Reed whispered to Blackwood. Admiral Tanner wasn't supposed to reveal the Prometheus until negotiations had completely failed. Blackwood checked his secure communicator again. Plans changed when our intelligence picked up Coalition fleet movements near Proxima Centauri. They were preparing to strike regardless of the Council's ruling. Dr. Mehta paced nervously. They'll claim we've violated even more directives now. Void technology is restricted to Tier 1 civilizations. A classification we've been denied 3 times, Reed pointed out. Despite meeting all the criteria, a door slid open revealing Elder Neva. The tall, slender alien skin rippled with bioluminescent patterns that betrayed agitation. The Council demands an explanation, Neva stated without preamble. How did your species acquire void manipulation capabilities? Reed exchanged glances with her colleagues. We developed it ourselves, Elder, just as we've claimed during our previous petitions for reclassification. Impossible, Neva insisted. No species has independently developed void technology in 7,000 years. And yet, Blackwood said, the Prometheus hovers in Arcturus space as we speak. Meta stepped forward, tablet in hand. We have comprehensive documentation of our research process. We'd be happy to share it, Tar, after the Council recognizes our territorial claims and addresses the Vex incursions. Neva's skin flashed with patterns that the translation software couldn't interpret. The Coalition representatives are demanding your arrest for threatening their sovereign territory. The Prometheus has made no aggressive moves, Reed countered. It merely demonstrated our technological capability by appearing unannounced in a restricted military zone, a zone that's been used to stage attacks on our colonies, Blackwood said firmly. Before Neva could respond, an alarm blared throughout the station. The Elder's pattern shifted to what the humans recognized as deep concern. What's happening? Reed demanded. The Vex, Neva said. A fleet has just dropped out of hyperspace near this very station. Blackwood's communicator buzzed again. He read the message, face grim. Not just any fleet. It's the same configuration that attacked our Epsilon colony, the one the Council claimed didn't exist. For the first time, uncertainty crossed the Elder's alien features. You're suggesting that the Vex attacks and the Coalition's territorial claims are connected? Reed finished. We've been saying that for months. The station shuddered as the first impacts hit its outer shields. The station's defenses will hold, Neva assured them. But uncertainty tinged her voice. For how long? Meta asked. Our analysis suggests Vex weapons are specifically calibrated to destabilize Praxian shield harmonics brewers, exactly the type this station uses. Neva stared at them. How could you possibly know that? Because we've been fighting them alone for years, Reed said quietly. While the Council dismissed our evidence and the Coalition blocked our petitions for aid. Another impact rocked the station, stronger this time. Emergency lights activated. Council Station, this is Captain Rhea Oren of the UDF Prometheus. A voice announced over the station's communication system. We are tracking multiple hostile vessels on approach. Request permission to assist in defense operations. The humans watched as Elder Neva's skin rippled with complex patterns. Surprise, confusion, and what might have been shame. You brought aid, despite our ruling against you, Neva said softly. Reed stepped forward, her gaze steady. That's what humans do, Elder. We don't abandon others to die a row, even those who've turned their backs on us. Neva bowed her head briefly, then activated her communicator. Permission granted, Prometheus. The Council accepts your assistance. As they hurried toward the station's command center, Blackwood leaned close to Reed. Phase 1 complete. Let's hope the Prometheus is as good as our engineers claim. It better be, Reed murmured, because we've just staked Earth's future on it. Outside the station, the sleek form of humanity's first void ship moved to intercept the incoming Vex vessels, its experimental weapon systems powering up for their first real combat test. The war that would reshape galactic politics had begun. Now they thought no aid would come. Then humanity's warship emerged from the void. Part 2, The Void Walkers. The UDF Prometheus hung in space like a predator poised to strike. Its obsidian hull absorbed rather than reflected light, making it seem like a hole cut from the fabric of reality itself. On the command bridge, Captain Rhea Oren watched the approaching Vex vessels with calculated calm. Targeting solutions locked on all hostiles, her weapons officer reported. Void Lance capacitors at full charge. Hold fire until they're within optimal range, Oren ordered, and maintain position between the attackers and the Council Station. The bridge crewed all veterans of previous Vex encounters, worked with practiced efficiency. Humanity had been fighting these mysterious raiders for years without recognition or support from the Galactic Council. Captain, incoming transmission from the Council Station, the communications officer announced. The main view screen shifted to show Elder Zorath's tentacled visage. Behind the alien leader, other Council members huddled in what appeared to be a reinforced command center. Human vessel, Zorath began, voice strained but formal. Your intervention is yet unexpected. The Vex have never attacked a council facility before. First time for everything, Orin replied coolly. We've transmitted tactical data on Vex attack patterns to your defense systems. Suggest you recalibrate your shields to the specifications provided. Before the Elder could respond, the tactical officer called out, Vex vessels accelerating. Energy spikes detected. They're charging weapons. Shields to maximum, Orin commanded. Prepare to engage. The first Vex attack came not as conventional weapons fire, but as a wave of energy that distorted space itself around the council station's shields. Where the energy touched, the defensive barrier wavered dangerously. As we predicted, Orin noted grimly, harmonic disruption field specifically designed to collapse Praxian shield technology. She tapped a command into her console. Countermeasures active. From the Prometheus, several smaller objects launched, positioning themselves at strategic points around the station. As the next Vex energy wave approached, these devices activated, creating a secondary field that stabilized the station's faltering shields. On the view screen, Elder Zorath's expression shifted to one of surprise. How did you? We've been studying Vex attack methods for years, Orin interrupted. Now, with your permission, we're going to demonstrate why the Vex have been avoiding direct confrontation with Earth vessels. Without waiting for a response, she nodded to her weapons officer. Engage primary targets. The Prometheus seemed to shimmer as its main weapons powered up. Instead of conventional energy beams, rippling distortions shot forth from its forward array, tiers in spacetime itself that connected the firing points directly to the targeted Vex ships, bypassing the distance between. When the weapons fire connected, the affected Vex vessels didn't explode or break apart. They simply collapsed inward, crushed by the sudden spatial distortion. On the Council Station's command deck, Ambassador Reed and Captain Blackwood watched the battle unfold alongside the stunned Council elders. What are we witnessing? Elder Zorvin demanded, scaled face twisted in confusion. Void Lance technology, Blackwood explained. It creates localized singularities that briefly connect 2 points in space, allowing us to project force directly onto a target regardless of conventional defenses. Impossible, another elder muttered. Such technology is beyond even Tier 1 civilizations, Reed smiled thinly. Perhaps your classification system needs updating. On screen, the remaining Vex ships began to retreat, their formation breaking apart as the Prometheus pursued, methodically neutralizing targets of opportunity. Your vessel is formidable, Elder Zorath acknowledged reluctantly. One of 17 currently in service, Blackwood replied, the slight exaggeration calculated to make an impression. In reality, the Prometheus was humanity's only operational void ship, though others were under construction. Dr. Mehta, who had been analyzing data from the station's sensors, suddenly straightened. Ambassador, look at this. He tilted his tablet so Reed could see the display. Quantum signatures from the retreating Vex vessels. Reed's eyes widened slightly as she reviewed the information. She turned to the Council. Elders, our scientist has detected something you might find interesting. Before she could elaborate, a new alarm sounded. One of the station controllers reported, multiple vessels dropping out of hyperspace, a coalition military configuration. The view screen shifted to show a dozen warships bearing the insignia of the Arcturus Coalition, emerging from hyperspace at the edge of the system. How convenient, Reed remarked dryly. The Coalition fleet arrives just as the Vex retreat. What are you implying, Ambassador? Elder Neva demanded. Instead of answering directly, Reed nodded to Mehta. The scientist tapped his tablet, projecting data onto the command center's main display. These are quantum resonance patterns from the Vex ships, he explained. And these, he pulled up a second set of readings. Aus are from coalition military vessels we've encountered near our colonies. The two patterns overlapped with an 87% match. That's not possible, Elder Zorvin protested. The Vex aren't a separate species, Blackwood stated bluntly. They're coalition special forces using modified ships and scrambled identification to attack our colonies while maintaining plausible deniability. The station shuddered as the coalition fleet moved into defensive positions, ostensibly to protect the Council facility. Incoming transmission from the coalition flagship, a controller announced. The face of Admiral Drath, the coalition's supreme military commander, appeared on screen. His insectoid features were arranged in what humans had learned was an expression of grave concern. Council Station, this is Admiral Drath. We detected Vex activity and came as quickly as possible. I see the human vessel managed to drive them off. His compound eyes shifted to take in the Earth representatives. How fortunate you were here. Indeed, Reed replied coolly, especially since the attack began mere hours after the Council ruled against Earth's petition. Drath's mandibles clicked in what might have been irritation. Are you suggesting the timing is suspicious, Ambassador? I'm suggesting nothing, Admiral. I'm stating facts. Fact 1. The Council denies our evidence of Vex attacks. Fact 2. Within hours, the Vex attacked the Council itself. Fact 3. Our sensors show a quantum resonance match between Vex ships and Coalition vessels. The command center fell silent as the implications settled over the gathered representatives. Elder Zorath's tentacles writhed in agitation. These are serious accusations, Ambassador Reed, which is why we're prepared to share all our evidence, including what the Prometheus just collected during this engagement. On the view screen, Admiral Drath's compound eyes narrowed. The Council should be cautious about accepting human claims. Their recent technological advances raise serious questions about treaty violations. Questions we're happy to address, Blackwood interjected, after a full investigation into the connection between the Coalition and the Vex. Before the tension could escalate further, Captain Oren's voice came through the communication system. Council Station, Prometheus. We're detecting unusual activity from the remaining Vex vessel. It appears to be. Her warning was cut short as the last Vex ship suddenly accelerated, not away from the battle, but directly toward the Council Station in what was clearly a suicide run. Brace for impact, Elder Zorath ordered, but the impact never came. In a blur of motion almost too fast to process, the Prometheus interposed itself between the station and the oncoming Vex ship. A shimmering field enveloped both vessels just before collision. When the field dissipated, both ships were gone. What just happened? Elder Neva demanded, her bioluminescent patterns flashing an alarm. Blackwood's communicator chimed. He checked it, his expression giving nothing away. Captain Oren initiated an emergency void jump, he explained calmly. She's removed both vessels to a safe distance. As if to confirm his words, the Prometheus reappeared from a spatial rift several thousand kilometers away. Of the Vex ship there was no sign. How is this possible? Elder Zorvan whispered. No ship can void jump with another vessel in such proximity. Humans are full of surprises, Reed said softly. Perhaps it's time the Council reconsidered its position on our petition. On the view screen, Admiral Drath's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. The Council should not be swayed by theatrical displays and unproven accusations. Then prove us wrong, Reed challenged. Allow a full investigation of Coalition military operations near human colonies. Submit your vessels to quantum resonance scans. The command center fell silent as all eyes turned to the Council elders. After a moment of private communication, Elder Zorath spoke. The Council will convene an emergency session to address these developments. The human delegation is invited to present its evidence in full. The Coalition will also have opportunity to respond. Admiral Drath's protest was cut off as Elder Zorath terminated the connection. As the various representatives filed out, Reed turned to her colleagues. Phase 2 complete. Now comes the hard part. Convincing the Council to act against one of its founding members? Meta asked. No, Reed replied grimly. Keeping Earth alive long enough for the truth to matter. They thought no aid would come. Then humanity's warship emerged from the void. Part 3. Coalition's Gambit. The emergency council session convened 12 hours after the attack. The chamber, normally arranged with ceremonial precision, now reflected the crisis atmosphere. Security personnel from multiple species lined the walls, and the public viewing galleries had been sealed. Ambassador Reed sat with Blackwood and Meta at the Earth delegation's table. Across the chamber, Admiral Drath headed a much larger coalition contingent. The tension between the two groups was palpable. Elder Zorath's tentacles moved in the complex patterns that signified official proceedings. This emergency session will address two matters: the attack on this station by vessels identified as Vex raiders, and the evidence presented by Earth's representatives suggesting Coalition involvement in said attacks. Admiral Drath rose immediately. Honored elders, the Coalition categorically denies these outrageous accusations. We came to the Council's aid when alerted to the Vex attack. After the battle was effectively over, Blackwood noted dryly. Drath's compound eyes gleamed with barely contained anger. The true matter before this council should be the humans' violation of multiple technology restrictions. Their vessel demonstrated capabilities reserved for Tier 1 civilizations, use capabilities they claimed not to possess during previous classification reviews. Reed stood, her posture calm but commanding. We developed these technologies out of necessity, after our petitions for aid against Vex attacks were repeatedly denied. Technologies that we then used to save this very station and the council members present. Convenient timing, Drath clicked. A Vex attack just when you needed to demonstrate your new warship. Indeed convenient, Reed countered, almost as if someone wanted to test our capabilities before the entire council. Before Drath could respond, Dr. Mehta activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. With the Elder's permission, I'd like to present our evidence. Elder Neva gestured assent. Mehta proceeded to display detailed sensor readings, communication intercepts, and analysis of attack patterns spanning the last 3 years of Vex raids on human colonies. The pattern is clear, he concluded. Vex attacks increased precisely when human expansion neared regions claimed by the Coalition. The quantum signatures match Coalition military technology with minimal modifications, and most damning raw. He highlighted a series of communication logs. There's these encrypted transmissions between Vex, Raiders, and Coalition military command posts. A murmur ran through the chamber as council. Representatives digested the implications. Admiral. Drath's mandibles clicked rapidly in agitation. Fabrications. The humans have created this evidence to justify their military buildup. The data can be independently verified, Mehta replied calmly, including the fresh readings from yesterday's attack. Elder Zorvan leaned forward, scaled features grave. If these allegations prove true, Admiral, they would constitute a serious violation of Council principles. More than that, Reed added. They would reveal a deliberate campaign to eliminate human presence from disputed territories while maintaining the Coalition's facade of peaceful intentions. Drath rose to his full imposing height. The Council cannot seriously entertain these accusations from a species that has just revealed its own deception. Their void ship proves they've been developing restricted technologies in secret. Technologies we only pursued after conventional defenses failed to protect our colonies, Blackwood countered. Colonies that have been under attack while the Council looked the other way. The debate continued for hours, with both sides presenting arguments and counter-arguments. Throughout, Reed noticed subtle shifts in the chamber's atmosphere. Representatives from smaller worlds whispered among themselves, many casting thoughtful glances toward the human delegation. Finally, Elder Zorath called for a recess. The Council will deliberate on the evidence presented. Both delegations will remain available for further questioning. As the chamber emptied, Reed gathered her team in a secure alcove. We've made our case, she said quietly, but the Coalition has too many allies on the Council. Drath will use the recess to shore up support. Blackwood checked his secure communicator. The Prometheus reports Coalition fleet movements near 3 of our colony worlds. They're positioning for strikes if the ruling goes against them. Or perhaps regardless of the ruling, Reed mused. Admiral Tanner? The second fleet is on standby, Blackwood confirmed. But they can't be everywhere at once. Mehta looked troubled. If the Coalition attacks our colonies while we're here, the Council might view it as justification for our military development rather than as aggression. Exactly, Reed agreed. We need to. She stopped as a small alien approached Awa Novan, one of the Coalition's subject species. The diminutive figure bowed respectfully. Ambassador Reed, I am Kel, aide to the Novan representative. My superior wishes to speak with you privately. Reed exchanged glances with her colleagues. The Novans were known for their technological expertise, but had been under Coalition control for generations. Lead the way, she decided. Kel guided her through a labyrinth of corridors to a small meditation chamber where an older Novan waited. Unlike his aide, Representative Toll bore the neural implants that marked high-ranking Novan officials. Thank you for coming, Ambassador, Toll said. his voice barely above a whisper. "What I'm about to share puts my people at risk." "I understand discretion, Representative." Toll removed a small device from his robes. "This contains classified coalition military directives from the past 5 years. It confirms your accusations and more. The Vex campaign was only Phase 1. Reed accepted the device carefully. Phase 1 of what? A strategic initiative to eliminate potential rivals before they achieve Tier 1 status. Humans were not the first targets, merely the most recent. The others? The Belan, the Sorev cluster, the Gaian Republic, all suffered mysterious raids and conflicts that limited their expansion. All denied reclassification as potential Tier 1 civilizations. Reed felt a chill. And all eventually accepted coalition protection treaties. Toll nodded sadly. As did my people centuries ago. The coalition doesn't just want territory, Ambassador. They seek to prevent any species from challenging their technological dominance. Why reveal this now? Because humans did what no other species managed, and you developed void technology despite the restrictions. You've shown it's possible to resist. Toll's large eyes blinked slowly. There are many subject worlds within the coalition that watch Earth with hope. Back in the council chamber, the session resumed with Elder Zorath announcing their decision. After reviewing the evidence, this council finds sufficient cause for concern to warrant a full investigation into the alleged connection between coalition forces and Vex raiders. Admiral Drath rose in protest, but Elder Neva silenced him with a gesture. Furthermore, Zorath continued, Earth's petition for reclassification as a Tier 1 civilization will be reconsidered in light of their demonstrated technological achievements. A ripple of surprise ran through the chamber. Reed maintained her composure, though inwardly she celebrated this unexpected victory. However, Elder Zorvan added, the investigation must be conducted according to Council protocols. Both parties will withdraw military forces from disputed regions until the process is complete. Reed stood. Earth accepts these terms with one condition. Council observers must be present on our colony worlds to ensure compliance from all parties. Before the elders could respond, an aide rushed in, whispering urgently to Zorath. The elders' tentacles writhed in what humans had learned to recognize as alarm. We have received an emergency transmission, Zorath announced. Multiple Vex vessels have appeared in the Proxima Centauri system, Earth's nearest colony world. All eyes turned to Admiral Drath, whose mandibles worked silently for a moment before he recovered. This proves nothing. If these are truly Vex raiders, they operate independently of Coalition authority. Then you won't object to a joint response force, Reed suggested smoothly. Coalition and Earth vessels with Council observers to confront these independent raiders. Caught in his own logic, Drath could only click his mandibles in frustration. Elder Zorath raised her tentacles for silence. So ordered. A joint task force will address this incursion and investigate its origins. As the session adjourned, Reed approached her team with the Novan device concealed in her hand. We've gained time and oversight, but this isn't over. The Coalition won't abandon their strategy so easily. Captain Blackwood nodded grimly. The Prometheus is ready, and if Drath's forces make a wrong move, we'll have witnesses, Reed finished, and evidence that even the Council can't ignore. Dr. Mehta studied his tablet. The Proxima colony has activated their emergency protocols. They can hold out until reinforcements arrive. Reed's communicator chimed with a message from Admiral Tanner. Second Fleet deploying. Prometheus cleared for immediate response. She looked up at her colleagues. The Coalition thought they could isolate Earth and pick us off quietly. They never expected us to develop void technology, and they certainly never expected the Council to listen to us. They thought no aid would come, Mehta said softly. Beware, they thought no aid would come. Then humanity's warship emerged from the void. Part 4. The Hidden Truth. The Proxima Centauri system blazed with weapons fire. Earth's colony planet Haven hung like a blue jewel against the backdrop of space, its orbital platforms engaging the attacking Vex vessels with desperate determination. Aboard the UDF Prometheus, Captain Rhea Oren studied the tactical display with narrowed eyes. Status of the colony shields? Holding at 63%, Captain, her tactical officer reported. But they've taken heavy fire on the northern continent. The agricultural sectors are being systematically targeted. Food production, Oren noted grimly. They're trying to starve them out without a direct ground assault. The bridge door slid open, admitting Ambassador Reed, Captain Blackwood, and Dr. Mehta, along with 3 council observers, Ars Apraxian, a Novan, and a reluctant representative from a coalition client species. Welcome to the front lines, Oren greeted them without taking her eyes from the display. As you can see, the mythical Vex raids are very real. The Praxian observer, Sentinel Kier, moved closer to study the battle. Indeed, and yet the coalition fleet has still not arrived despite Admiral Drath's assurances. Mechanical difficulties, I'm sure, Reed remarked dryly. Blackwood joined Oren at the tactical station. What's the situation, Captain? 12 Vex vessels, attacking in coordinated waves. They're focusing on infrastructure rather than population centers. Classic softening tactics weaken the colony's ability to sustain itself before moving in to claim the territory. The same pattern we've documented at 3 other human colonies, Mehta added, bringing up comparison data on his tablet for the observers, and remarkably similar to incidents reported by the Belan before they accepted coalition protection. The Novan observer, technologist Zell, studied the data with knowing eyes. The attack formation is consistent with coalition military doctrine, though modified to appear less structured. A communications officer interrupted. Captain, incoming transmission from Haven Colony. Governor Tanaka requests immediate assistance for the northern agricultural stations. Acknowledged, Oren replied. Tell the governor help is on the way. She turned to Blackwood. Sir? He nodded. You have tactical command, Captain. Show our observers what the Prometheus can do. Oren allowed herself a small smile. Helm, plot intercept course. Weapons, prepare void lances for sequential targeting. We're going to remove these raiders from my colony's sky. As the Prometheus accelerated toward the embattled planet, the observers watched with barely concealed fascination. The coalition representative, Trade Minister Lux, seemed particularly tense. Your vessel moves without conventional engine signatures, he noted uneasily. Void drive technology, Mehta explained. It manipulates space-time rather than pushing against it. More efficient and nearly impossible to track with standard sensors. The Prometheus slipped into the battle zone with predatory grace. As before, its weapons didn't fire conventional energy beams but rather created localized distortions that connected directly to the targeted ships. 3 Vex vessels collapsed in rapid succession, crushed by the spatial anomalies. Remarkable, Sentinel Kier murmured. No wonder the coalition is concerned about your advancement. Concerned enough to orchestrate these attacks? Reed asked pointedly. Before any observer could respond, the tactical officer called out, New. Contacts. Multiple signatures dropping out of hyperspace at the system edge. The view screen shifted to show a fleet of warships bearing coalition insignia emerging into normal space. Right on cue, Blackwood muttered. After we've engaged. Admiral Drath's face appeared on the communication screen. Council observers, we have arrived to assist with the Vex incursion, as agreed. The timing is convenient, Admiral, Reed remarked. The Prometheus has already neutralized several attackers. Drath's mandibles clicked in what might have been irritation. The coalition fleet stands ready to engage the remaining hostiles. Hold your position, Oren ordered. We have the situation under control. I must insist, Drath countered. The Joint Task Force Agreement. His transmission abruptly cut off as alarms blared across the Prometheus bridge. Energy surge from the coalition flagship, the tactical officer reported. They're powering weapons. Shields to maximum, Oren commanded. Evasive maneuvers. The first salvo from the coalition fleet wasn't aimed at the Prometheus, however, but at the remaining Vex vessels. The strikes were precise. Too precise. Those aren't attacks, Blackwood realized. They're self-destructs being triggered remotely. On the tactical display, the Vex ships began to explode one after another, destroying the evidence of their true nature. Record everything, Reed instructed Mehta urgently. Make sure the observers see what's happening. The coalition representative Lux was already backing toward the exit. This proves nothing. The coalition is simply neutralizing the threat. By destroying ships rather than disabling them for inspection, Reed challenged. Curious tactics for a rescue operation. Before Lux could respond, Dr. Mehta called out in surprise. Ambassador, I'm detecting a quantum signal from the Coalition flagship you're directed at the colony's main shield generator. Jam it, Oren ordered. Too late, our shield fluctuation detected. On the view screen, a section of Haven's planetary shield wavered and collapsed. Immediately, 3 Coalition vessels broke formation, accelerating toward the gap. They're launching landing craft, the tactical officer reported. Blackwood turned to the observers, his expression grim. You're witnessing the true Coalition strategy. Create a crisis, then move in as peacekeepers to occupy the territory. Sentinel Kier's crystalline features hardened. This is a violation of Council protocols. The agreement specified no ground forces. Captain, Reed said quietly, I believe it's time for a demonstration. Oren nodded, understanding immediately. Tactical, prepare the mirror array. Target the lead Coalition landing craft. Mirror array? Technologist Zell asked, curiosity overcoming caution. Mehta explained as the Prometheus maneuvered to intercept the Coalition vessels. A void technology application that creates a localized reflection of spacetime. It essentially turns an attacker's momentum and energy against itself. On the view screen, the Prometheus positioned itself above the vulnerable colony. A shimmering field expanded from the ship, engulfing the area where the shield had failed. When the Coalition vessels attempted to pass through, they found themselves abruptly reversed, their trajectories inverted as if they'd hit an invisible mirror. Impossible, Lux whispered, mandibles trembling. Reed turned to face the Coalition representative. Minister Lux, you now have a choice. You can continue supporting Admiral Drath's increasingly transparent deception, or you can acknowledge what the Council observers have witnessed directly. The bridge fell silent as Lux struggled visibly with the decision. Finally, he straightened his posture. I request a direct communication link to the Council elders. Minutes later, Elder Zorath's tentacled visage appeared on the main screen, with Elders Neva and Zorvan visible behind her. We are receiving simultaneous feeds from all observers, Zorath stated without preamble. The situation appears problematic. Honored elders, Lux began, his voice surprisingly steady. I must report that the evidence supports the human allegations. The Coalition forces have violated multiple protocols and appear to be coordinating with the supposed Vex Raiders. Admiral Drath's face appeared on a split screen, mandibles clicking furiously. This is treason, Lux. The minister speaks without authority. I speak what I have witnessed, Lux replied simply, as have the other observers. Elder Neva's bioluminescent patterns shifted in what the humans recognized as deep concern. Admiral Drath, you will withdraw all Coalition forces from the Proxima system immediately. This is outrageous. We came to assist Withdraw, Elder Zorvan interrupted, scaled face impassive but voice cold. Or face Council sanctions. The transmission cut off. For several tense minutes, the bridge crew of the Prometheus watched as the Coalition fleet hung in space, seemingly undecided. Then, one by one, the vessels began to turn away. They're retreating, the tactical officer confirmed. Captain Oren allowed herself a small smile. Restore Haven's shields and dispatch medical teams to the damaged sectors. As the immediate crisis subsided, Reed gathered with Blackwood, Mehta, and the observers in the Prometheus conference room. The atmosphere was somber despite their apparent victory. This isn't over, Reed stated flatly. The Coalition won't abandon decades of strategic planning because of one setback. Sentinel Kier nodded in agreement. Indeed, what we witnessed today challenges fundamental assumptions about Coalition intentions toward emerging civilizations. Not just emerging ones, Lux added quietly. Many existing Council members have fallen under Coalition influence through similar methods. Manufactured crises, followed by offers of protection that gradually erode sovereignty. Technologist
Zell manipulated a holographic display, correlating data from the battle.
The quantum signatures are definitive. The Vex vessels were Coalition Special Forces units with modified identification and weapon systems. Reed turned to the observers. Will you testify to what you've witnessed here? Kir and Zell exchanged glances before nodding their assent. To everyone's surprise, Lux also agreed. They thought no aid would come. Then humanity's warship emerged from the void. Part 5. A New Order. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so crowded. Representatives from every member world and dozens of observer species packed the tiered seating, all drawn by rumors of unprecedented revelations. At the center of the chamber, Ambassador Alara Reed stood calmly beside Captain Blackwood and Dr. Mehta. Facing the 7 council elders behind them, a delegation of former subject species of the Coalition AR, including Novans, Belans, and others waited silently. Their presence was itself a statement. Many had never before openly opposed Coalition interests. Elder Zorath raised her tentacles for silence. This extraordinary session will address evidence presented by Earth regarding Coalition involvement in unsanctioned military actions, and the subsequent violation of Council protocols during the joint mission to Proxima Centauri. Admiral Drath, flanked by Coalition security, stepped forward. Honored elders, before these baseless accusations continue, I must protest the presence of Minister Lux among the human delegation. He has violated his oath to the Coalition and should be removed. Minister Lux requested asylum with the Council. Elder Neva replied, her bioluminescent patterns rippling calmly. His request has been granted pending these proceedings. Drath's mandibles clicked in barely contained fury. Then I protest the legitimacy of these entire proceedings. The humans have manipulated Council protocols from the beginning, using their illegal void technology to create a false crisis. Reed didn't flinch at the accusation. The evidence speaks for itself, Admiral. The Council observers witnessed your forces attempting to occupy a human colony under the pretense of addressing a Vex incursion. An incursion your own ships triggered remotely. Circumstantial interpretations, Drath dismissed. The Coalition has been a pillar of galactic stability for millennia. These accusations come from a species barely 3 centuries into space travel. Elder Zorvan leaned forward, scaled features impassive. Age does not determine truth, Admiral. The observer testimonies are concerning, as is the quantum signature data linking Coalition vessels to Vex raiders, data that could easily have been fabricated. Dr. Mehta stepped forward, activating a holographic display. The methodology is transparent, Admiral. Any Council scientist can verify our findings independently. As the technical debate continued, Reed noticed subtle shifts in the chamber's atmosphere. Representatives from smaller worlds watched intently, many nodding at Mehta's explanations. Even some Coalition client species appeared troubled by the mounting evidence. Elder Zorath finally raised her tentacles for silence. We have reviewed the observer reports and the technical data. Before rendering judgment, does Earth wish to make a final statement? Reed moved to the central platform. Honored elders, fellow representatives, what we have uncovered is not simply a border dispute or an isolated incident. It is evidence of a systematic campaign by the Coalition to prevent emerging species from achieving their potential. She gestured to the delegation behind her. These representatives from Coalition subject worlds have provided additional documentation showing similar patterns spanning centuries. The Vex raids are merely the most recent manifestation of a strategy designed to keep technological advancement irregular, particularly void technology reconcentrated in Coalition control. Murmurs spread through the chamber as Reed continued. Earth developed void technology independently, not because we sought to violate Council restrictions, but because we had no choice. Our colonies were under attack, and our petitions for aid were repeatedly denied based on Coalition influence. She paused, making eye contact with representatives throughout the chamber. We do not seek punitive measures against the Coalition. We seek reform or a galactic council that truly represents all species, where technological advancement is shared rather than suppressed, and where no civilization needs to stand alone against manufactured threats. The chamber fell silent as Reed concluded. The choice before this council is not between Earth and the Coalition. It is between a future of genuine cooperation or continued manipulation, behind a facade of unity. Admiral Drath surged to his feet. This is outrageous. The Coalition will not stand for our. He was interrupted by a sudden commotion at the chamber entrance. All eyes turned to see Captain Oren striding in, flanked by Council security forces. Behind them came a procession of figures and restraints of Balmwa Coalition military officers. "Forgive the interruption, elders," Oren announced, "but we've made a significant discovery aboard the captured Vex vessel." Elder Neva's patterns shifted in surprise. "Proceed, Captain," Oren nodded to Meta, who activated a new holographic display showing internal communications from the Vex ship. These officers were operating a direct command link to what they called Operation Suppression O. Coordinated campaign targeting not just human colonies, but any civilization approaching Tier 1 status without Coalition supervision. The evidence was damning O direct orders, strategic assessments, and target lists spanning multiple species and sectors. Throughout the chamber, representatives from targeted worlds rose in protest, demanding explanations. The Coalition delegation found themselves suddenly isolated, their allies falling silent or openly distancing themselves. Admiral Drath's composure finally cracked. "You understand nothing," he hissed, mandibles clicking rapidly. "The stability of this galaxy requires careful management of technological advancement. Unrestricted development leads to chaos, to weapons that could destroy entire systems." "Like void technology?" Reed asked quietly. "Precisely. Technology the Coalition has controlled for millennia to prevent its misuse. And yet Earth developed it independently," Blackwood noted. "And our first act was to save a Council station, not destroy it." The admission hung in the air. Drath had effectively confirmed the Coalition's suppression strategy. Elder Zorath's tentacles moved in a complex pattern the humans had never seen before. "The Council will recess to deliberate. All parties will remain available." As the elders withdrew, the chamber erupted in conversation. Representatives from dozens of worlds approached the Earth delegation, some offering support, others seeking information about void technology and its applications. Reed found herself standing face to face with Tal, the Novan who had first provided evidence against the Coalition. "You have changed everything today, Ambassador," the elderly alien said softly. "For centuries, the narrative has been that advanced technology must be carefully controlled to prevent catastrophe. You have shown another path. Not without risk," Reed acknowledged. "Void technology is powerful. It could be misused, as can any technology," Tal replied. "The difference is whether we face those risks together or allow them to divide us." Hours later, the Council elders returned. The chamber fell silent as Elder Zorath took the central position. After reviewing all evidence, this Council finds that elements within the Coalition military did indeed orchestrate attacks on multiple civilizations while disguised as Vex raiders. This constitutes a grave violation of our most fundamental principles. A ripple of satisfaction moved through the chamber. Furthermore, Elder Neva continued, the policy of technological suppression through classification restrictions will be comprehensively reviewed. Earth's petition for Tier 1 status is granted effective immediately. Applause broke out from many delegations. Reed maintained her composure, though she felt Blackwood's hand briefly touch her shoulder in congratulation. Finally, Elder Zorvin announced, a special committee will be formed to investigate all incidents linked to these operations and to recommend reforms to prevent such abuses in future. The committee will include representatives from Earth, former Coalition subject worlds, and neutral Council members. Admiral Drath and his senior officers were led away by Council security. The remaining Coalition representatives huddled in visible disarray, their millennium of unchallenged influence crumbling before their eyes. As the session concluded, Captain Oren approached the Earth delegation with a secure communication. "Admiral Tanner reports all human colonies secure. The Coalition forces have withdrawn from disputed territories." "And the Prometheus?" Blackwood asked. "Ready for its next mission," Oren replied with a small smile. "As are the 3 new void ships nearing completion in Earth orbit." Reed nodded in satisfaction. "The real work begins now. The Coalition's strategy may have been exposed, but their concerns weren't entirely without merit. Powerful technologies require responsible stewardship, which is why Earth has proposed the Void Technology Accord," Meta added, displaying the document on his tablet. "Shared research, mutual security guarantees, and ethical oversight." As they prepared to leave the chamber, they found their path blocked by a delegation of representatives from smaller worlds and Yars species. that had long existed in the shadow of the coalition. A tall, avian being stepped forward. Ambassador Reed, we wish to formally request Earth's assistance in developing defensive capabilities for our worlds. We would join your accord as founding members. And we wish to establish direct diplomatic relations, added another representative, this one from a crystalline species.